All right, everybody. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another show. Today's December 13th, 2023. And yes, we are on to week 15. It's been really weird. Really weird. We got a lot to cover today. Obviously, we got the predictions for week 15. We'll get into Bill Belichick, NFL playing a game in Brazil. Nice little international change up. And then I want to talk about the Denver Broncos. I want to get into the Broncos. Someone had said, Jay, you're not talking about the Broncos. You haven't said anything about the Broncos. And I've been bigging up Russell Wilson for the last 3-4 weeks. But we'll get into Mr. Russell Wilson. Before we do that, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. And, of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure that you do subscribe. That way you don't miss a stream, NFL content. Thursday night, I will be streaming Thursday Night Football, so make sure you guys lock it in. Obviously, you guys see the schedule there on the scroll for my games I'll be streaming Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. So, yeah, we got a lot of football going on over the next 5-6 days. Quick shout-out to the Wrench Gang. Quick shout-out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. What up, Jessica? What's going on with you today? Shout-out to Lori. What's going on? Gary in the house. What up, Gary? I'm having a fine day. Lenny in the building. Rebecca, Bills Mafia. Let's go. Shout out to you guys. I'm going to be honest. I think I'm getting sick again. It is not good. I'm trying to fight it. I'm taking my vitamins, but I think I'm getting sick again. I can just feel it. I feel it coming. And I've been trying to fight it off, getting some extra rest and all that stuff. So I'm good for the most part. But I'm just hoping it doesn't get any worse than what it is. On to the soup, the vitamins, and all that kind of stuff, because I feel it coming back, and I just got over it, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with that again. But 'tis the season, as they say. 'Tis the season. Lori says, I got it, Jay. I'm sick too. Yeah. Rebecca says, oh, no, probably didn't get rid of it completely. Yeah, I don't think it was lingering. I do think that I may have picked it up again. I disinfected everything, washed all the sheets, did that whole thing, sprayed everything down, made sure everything was clean. But, you can touch a doorknob and get sick. That's just how it goes now. It's kind of crazy. But I'm not going to let it hold me back. You guys know how we do. We fight through it all, and we keep it moving. So regardless of whatever happens, shout out to Rebecca, says the cooties. Yeah, you know how that goes. You know how that goes. All right. Make sure you guys hit that like, that thumbs up as we get started with the show here. I'm waiting for Jonas, too, because I want to get Jonas on the line. I know he has a lot to say in regards to his Cowboys, and I can't wait to get into that conversation. I did want to address one big important thing, too, before we get started. So there was a conversation that me and one of the channel members had. I'm not going to mention the channel member's name. I'm just going to say this. There was a situation or a couple situations that we've had over the last 48, 72 hours, right? People got upset. People got mad. In regards to sports, opinions, thoughts, and things like that. I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't think there's too many people, too many of other people that take more scrutiny in this realm than I do when it comes to sports, opinions, and all that kind of stuff. So, we all have to grow thick skin. We all have to understand that, temperatures may get flared from time to time. Things may get said from time to time. But at the end of the day, I always handle things accordingly and as I see fit. And, if you have a problem with it, if you don't like it, then, shoot me an email, send me a message on Facebook, something like that. Matter of fact, you can even call me. You can call me on one of these social media sites. You don't just have to message me. Everyone knows that knows. You can call me up. We can chop it up. We can have a conversation. We can talk about it. and then we'll figure it out. But to be emotional, to be upset in regards to football discussions and debates, it's not on me to tell you this, but I think that someone should have before told you that there's no feelings in football. There's no feelings in sports. There's no feelings on the internet. And if you feel yourself getting too emotionally involved when it comes to debates and when it comes to sports and when it comes to things like that, then you may, want to just watch football or watch these sports, peacefully in the own comfort of your home, and don't go out there online and seek conversation and debates and things like that, because you're going to deal with all kinds of personalities, and some of these personalities may not agree with you. Some of these personalities may be upset by what you're saying. You may be upset about what they're saying, and you may not see eye to eye. You may not be able to handle, what they're saying, and you may take it very, very personal. Because here's the thing about me. I don't take anything personal. I handle the conversations as they come. I handle the trolls as they come. I handle debates as they come. But at the end of the day, there is nothing personal about this to me. Because when I turn on this camera and I get in front of this mic, I understand that I am subject to criticism. I am subject to people hating. I'm subject to people not liking me. And at the end of the day, I sleep like a baby at night because none of that bothers me when I turn off this camera. So with that said, we're going to get going with the show. Shout out to you guys. What up, Corey? What's going on with you? Blake says, go Bills Mafia. Let's go. Gary says, eat healthy, Jake. Cornish game hens are really good. I'm going to try to make those for Christmas. Fava Troll says, hey, what up? Says Adam says, Jay is authentic as it comes. When he is wrong, he owns it. When he's right, he shouldn't have to defend himself over and over. Adam, you know it. And for those who know it, they know it. And for those who don't, well, stick around. You'll learn it. With that said, let's go ahead and get into the show. I'm not going to waste any more time. I've addressed what I needed to address. And let's go ahead and get into the meat. Let's actually go ahead and start this off here. Shout out to you, Brian. Much love. Says parents should have taught them that. No one cares about your feelings. What up, Jay? And this wonderful Wrench Gang. Go Bills. Let's go ahead and start it off, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and start it off. Someone's like, Jay, let's get going. Well, let's get into Mr. Bill Belichick, right? We know that, well, if you don't know, the conversation was him and Robert Kraft had decided to part ways after this season. So now Bill Belichick will be moving on after this season is over. So we're going to go ahead and get into this press conference where it says Bill Belichick on Patriots future. Says, I'm getting ready for Kansas City. And let's see what he has to say.
Obviously, for yourself, in your understanding, do you have an understanding that Robert will not ask you to be back next year?
Yeah, getting ready for Kansas City. That's what I'm doing.
Bill, while understanding that you're getting ready for Kansas City, have you and Robert discussed your future beyond this season?
Getting ready for Kansas City.
So here's one thing. Whether you hate or you love Bill Belichick, I'm a man that loves consistency. You just know what you can get from Bill Belichick when it comes to these kind of situations. And, it's very funny to me because, they seem kind of frustrated by it. As a journalist, as an analyst, as a reporter, whatever, they seem kind of frustrated by this as if they should be getting some kind of different statement out of him more than what he's normally given because of, the news that broke. This is still Bill Belichick, ladies and gentlemen. He's not going to change. This is still that individual that we've known out on the field for all these years. And I respect it. If you can't respect the man, then you don't appreciate his legacy. So here we go. Let's get into the story. So New England Patriots coach Bill Belichick deflected multiple questions about his job status Wednesday, repeating the same answer each time. I'm getting ready for Kansas City. Belichick's 3-10 team hosts the Chiefs on Sunday, a game that was flexed from ESPN's Monday Night Football, mainly because of the team's struggles. Speculation about Belichick's future has swirled in part because owner Robert Kraft has been clear about his expectations. Entering the fourth season since quarterback Tom Brady's free agency departure, which pained Kraft, the 82-year-old owner, said in March that it's very important to me that we make the playoffs. The Patriots were officially eliminated from the postseason Sunday when the Bengals defeated the Colts. It marked the earliest the franchise had been knocked out since 2000, Belichick's first season as head coach. And you guys know that I actually dropped this the other day. It's the end of an era, right? It's the end of an era for the Patriots. Belichick will be moving on. But I did say this as well. And I told people, listen, once we get into these games, right, these last and final weeks in regards to the Patriots, don't just think they're going to roll over, right? Belichick knows that he's moving on. So I do think he's going to game plan very, very well, right? He's still going to treat this thing like it's chess out there and try to out-coach Andy Reid when it comes to this Kansas City game, because if I'm Bill Belichick, I still want to go out with a bang, right? I don't want to just go out, with losses. I still want to go out with some wins on my record. So I'd be very surprised if we don't see the Patriots put up a real fight coming up for these Chiefs, and it becomes way more interesting than what we thought it would be. Let's keep going. Says the Patriots have also clinched their third losing season in the 4 years since Brady signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a free agent. Their last playoff win was a 13-3 triumph over the Rams in Super Bowl in that Super Bowl on February 3rd, 2019. Kraft hasn't publicly addressed Belichick's future since the season began, but spoke in generalities Saturday as a guest on ESPN's College Game Day, which was live from Gillette Stadium before the Army-Navy game there. Asked what has contributed to his success over 30 years as Patriots owner, he said it's all about people, collecting good people of good character, people who are loyal. I'm very happy that most of our key people have been with us for a long time. We have a head coach who has been with us for 24 years. That's the model we all have in our companies. We like to win, so we want to do everything we can to get our team back so we can be winning. So there you go. There you go. End of an era for Bill Belichick. Now, where is he going to move on to, right? That's the next question. A lot of people were saying, Chargers may be on the list there as far as where Bill could go. I do think there's, a few other options out there. You probably could be looking at something like maybe the Panthers, right? Depending on how the contracts are structured over there, right? I could definitely see Belichick going somewhere else and, seeing what he can do for a couple years. Or, hey, he might just say, you know what, I'm done and move on. But there are a couple teams out there that could potentially use him. I know that some people were even saying in regards to the Bills how, if Sean would have been let go last year due to the blunders and the championship and all that kind of stuff, or, the year before championship, that, if that was the case, it would have been a situation where, we could potentially have seen Bill, which would have been absolutely nuts because I don't think Western New York is a big fan of Bill Belichick. Just saying that. But there you go. There you go. Guys, obviously keep you guys updated. We'll see what happens as far as, Bill's career moving forward. And there it is. All right. Rebecca says he's just glowing. Hey, I definitely think there's a lot of pressure, right? A lot of pressure that goes into coaching, especially a franchise like, the Patriots for sure, without a doubt. Gary says facts are facts. Good to see the Bills in the top 10 again. Shout out to you, Gary. Paul Patrol says my birthday is on Thursday. Well, there you go. Happy birthday to you, Paul Patrol. Happy birthday to you. Happy early birthday. Says, bro, Bills not making the playoffs. Are you just trying to get a rise out of me? Is that what it is? Bills aren't making the playoffs. He's like, what can I say to Jay today to get under his skin? Or what could I say to make him mad? I don't know. There it is. Bills aren't making the playoffs. Week by week, my friend. Week by week. The way the AFC looks right now, to be honest, it's anybody's game. The only team that you could really say right now that even has any kind of true dominance right now in the AFC would be the Ravens. But once again, looking at their defense and the amount of points that they're allowing, things could get very tricky moving on in these next 4 weeks. They got the 49ers coming up. That's going to be a hell of a game on Christmas. So, yeah, it's anybody's AFC right now for the most part. So there you go. I feel like he will land a new job. Shout out to you, Tadic. I think so too, man. I think so too. Lawyer says, "Wow, right? A lot of old-timer fans wouldn't like Bill coaching in Buffalo. Yeah, it lead to an uprising in Buffalo for sure." Eli says, "The way the Colts played, I think Colts win by 3 or less." Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our second story before we get to Week 15 predictions. Next up, so we have the NFL to play a game in Brazil next year, 2024. They're going to expand the international slate in 2025. So they're going different places, right? You had Germany, you had London, you had the game in Mexico. So now they're, expanding things. You're going to have a game in Brazil next year. And then I guess we're just going to try to, keep this thing going as far as, different stadiums and, different countries and things like that, which I guess is pretty cool, right? I guess, if you want to travel overseas and see some different places and, go watch your favorite team play, I guess it makes sense. But here we go. The NFL on Wednesday awarded a 2024 regular season game to Brazil and voted to expand the slate of international games from 4 to 8 games beginning in 2025. I'm really going to dread getting up with you guys at 9:30 in the morning for international games. I love you guys, but I do need my sleep on a Sunday. But hey, all right, it's fine. So yeah, they're going to switch it from 4 to 8 games beginning 2025. So we'll have more of those games in the morning, obviously at 9:30 a.m. On Sundays, most likely. Says the game in Brazil will be played in Sao Paulo at Corinthians Arena, the home of Brazil soccer club, SC Corinthians, that has been a venue for both the 2014 FIFA World Cup and 2016 Summer Olympics. Both announcements were made at the owners' meeting in Dallas on Wednesday. The league said new markets and host stadiums for future seasons would be announced at a later date. Here's a shot of the stadium if you haven't seen it or if you've never watched the Olympics or the World Cup. Keep it going. It says becoming a global sport is a major strategic priority for the league and 32 teams, Commissioner Roger Goodell said in a statement. Increasing international game inventory allows us to grow our global presence and share our game with exciting new markets to connect with more fans around the world. Now, I do want to bring up how important that statement is, right? Because some people, for some reason, don't get this and don't understand it. When you hear words like that, right? We want to expand our global presence. We want to increase our international game inventory. That's letting you know that, not only is the NFL a business model, right? It's for profit, but they're looking to increase their revenue, right? They're looking to bring more fans to the game and make this a global event. I did say how it would a few weeks ago, how it would be interesting if we started seeing like international teams pop up and, the NFL decides to just go full blown international and turn this thing into kind of like a world event. That'd be kind of crazy because it'd be like, the Buffalo Bills playing against the Rome Gladiators. That'd be kind of weird, right? I don't know how it would work. But it just seems like they're trying to, potentially go down that road. How many years it'll take to get there, I'm sure we may never see it. But I do think that is something that may be on the table for the NFL in the next, 100 years as far as the direction they're going in with these international games to expand their leverage for the fan bases. Tactical says the world has been excited to host these games. I think it's okay. The early morning games are weird, though. Yeah, they're tough. They're tough. Eli says an old man like Jay needs his old man sleep. I ain't an old man yet, but I do need that sleep. Rebecca says I really hate it. We are the NFL, now World League, and it's hard on the players and most people who don't have a way to travel. Yeah, the NFL could be the NWL one day, right? That'd be kind of crazy. Shout out to Tyler. What up, man? Says Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. Merry Christmas to the Wrench Gang. Shout out to you, Tyler. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. Tactical says, Rebecca, it's tough on the players for sure. Those early kickoffs threw off the whole game routine. And yes, right, if you remember, people were basically trying to say that this is why certain teams were losing due to, the jet lag and all that kind of stuff. And personally, I don't like going that route because these are professionals who are paid millions of dollars to go out there and step on that field, right? You've got to work through all the adversities and all the issues and all that kind of stuff. Could jet lag play a part in as far as you getting rest? Sure. So that means you probably need to game plan a little bit better as far as your scheduling and get these guys in position so that they can adjust and get the proper rest that they need to, so they're not jet lagged for these international games, and that can't be used as an excuse. So there you go. Shout out to Parlay, says Jay will not only win you money, but facts before the facts. There you go, man. Shout out to you, Parlay. Rebecca says, can't we have and keep anything? No. You will own nothing and be happy. That's the new motto. Lori says, going international impact, upping the merchandising brings in the money. Yes, it does. Right. And that's kind of why they've been blowing up the whole Taylor Swift thing. Right. It comes down to the money. You get all those Swiftie fans in. Right. They know that the Swifties love to spend money. And you have a situation now to where Kelsey's his jerseys skyrocket in sales. And, now they're tuning in, to the Kansas City games and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously you're going to have some of these fans expand out in the NFL, right? They're not just going to be KC fans because of Swift. They're like, all right, they can make their own decisions from there, but that's the gateway. That's the entry. And so they're like, oh, okay, Kansas City football. And then they'll start veering off. And then, okay, well, I like Hurts as a quarterback, so I'll be a Philadelphia fan. Or I like Herbert as a quarterback, so I'll be a Chargers fan. And basically fan out from there. And that's how the snowball happens when you have a situation as far as with bringing in someone like Taylor Swift. So there you go. NFL will be bringing a Brazil game to us in 2024. So we'll see how that goes. All right, getting into our next thing before we get into the predictions, ladies and gentlemen, for Week 15, I wanted to talk about these Denver Broncos. We know and understand that Kansas City right now is in shambles as an organization. And if you are the Denver Broncos and Sean Payton and this team right now, you are looking at Kansas City and saying, guess what? We could take this. We could take the AFC West right now. They're vulnerable. They look weak. We can take things over. We've changed as a team. We've changed as an organization. So right now the Broncos are 7-6 at home, right? They're 4-3 away. They're 3-3. They have obviously one win. Chiefs have lost 2. If we get into, let me just pull this up here. Get into these stats. Russell Wilson, right? He's looking decent. 254 completions on 378 attempts, 67.2 in the completion percentage, 2,609 yards, his long was 60. 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's been sacked 38 times. I would say that's something that they definitely need to work on, but I do feel like if you don't take a sack, you're most likely going to end up throwing a pick. So you probably rather have the sack than the pick. That's normally how that goes. Then you got Williams on the run, right? 170 carries on 650 yards. McLaughlin, 56 carries on 321 yards. Getting into the receiving, right? Cortland Sutton, 79 targets, 53 receptions, almost 700 yards. Jerry Jeudy, who everyone had basically, wrote off, 42 receptions on 63 targets, 507 yards. Right now you have, a situation where if they can really, really get this offense together and go out there and start being dominant, they may be able to take the AFC West. And then getting to the defense, obviously we see Singleton with 2 sacks, Jewell with 2 sacks, Cooper, big part of this defense with 5.5, 34 solo tackles. Singleton playing amazing with 81. So yeah, these guys are definitely balling. Benito with 7 sacks. I do feel like the Broncos could become a formidable force heading down into these last few weeks, and maybe potentially be able to take the AFC West and lead themselves into the playoffs, which I don't think anybody expected getting into this 2023 season. I think everyone had written off Russell Wilson. Everyone had written off this Broncos team. Sean Payton comes in, turns this thing around, And here we are. That Sean Payton experience. Let's go. All right, so what happened to the comments before we get into the predictions, ladies and gentlemen? Predictions coming up next. Tyler says Mahomes apologized today for his actions. He apologized to Josh Allen for not giving him his props after the game and complaining. So Tyler Brooks, I brought that up in the video right after that happened in regards to what Mahomes did. Some people got mad at me. Some people got upset with me. And then literally a few hours later, Patrick Mahomes went on radio and basically said that, it wasn't a good thing for him to do that. It wasn't good for the sport, and it was unsportsmanlike. So I do respect that he did acknowledge what he did was wrong, and then apologize to Allen and kept it moving. That's it, right? I didn't say anything about him griping in regards to the ref call, right? I'm gonna give you that all day. You're the man out on the field. You can gripe about whatever you want, as long as you show some sportsmanship and you do what you need to do. If you want to gripe, you want to go on social media, you want to talk about the refs and all that, that's totally fine. That's on you. But when the game is over and you got to go shake that man's hand and congratulate him on his victory, give him that right that he gave you when you've won against him. That's all I'm saying. And we'll keep it moving. Mr. Boxing says Prescott always does that by the span of 10 weeks, and then he throws like 5 interceptions the following weeks. Well, we'll see, my friend. We're going to get into these predictions shortly. Tyler says, let's go Broncos. We riding. You are. Adam says, random nugget here. The Air Force has designed a plane that can get to just about anywhere in 4 to 5 hours. One example was New York to France in 4 hours, and they want the NFL to buy these planes. It would make sense, right? You can get the players, staff, and the coaching there in a faster time. That way it's, not big of an issue, and not having these guys fly on planes for, 10, 12 hours or whatever it is to get to that destination. The NFL will have expansion in Africa. Oh, my goodness. You guys say I'm brutal. Oh, man. Says Dennis Allen needs to go. Belichick needs to move into the Saints. Wow. Okay. That might be interesting. Bill Belichick going to the Saints. That would be interesting. Tatico says, Jay, we will see that Cowboys collapse as usual. Will we see Cowboys collapse as usual? This is when Dak unravels usually. So, like I said, we're going to go and get into these predictions for Week 15. I'm going to tell you this right now. With what we have going on with Week 15, it's really, really wild, especially because we have 3 games on Saturday, which I will be doing one of those games. I'll let you guys know once we get into the Week 15 predictions. But the Week 15 predictions and this schedule and the way things are looking right now, this may very well be one of the best weeks that we've had. Obviously, I really enjoyed Week 14, but Week 15 is probably going to be even more intense. So let's go ahead and get into these Week 15 predictions, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be starting off tomorrow. Obviously, you guys know I'll be streaming this game. It's going to be the Chargers and the Raiders. Obviously, we know that Herbert's out. So we'll go ahead and get into this. We're going to see Stick in. And then with the Raiders, right, there's been just so, roller coasterish, not really doing too much. What can you expect from them? That franchise really needs to see some change as well. So, yeah, we're going to get into this one. It's Chargers and Raiders. It's going to be tomorrow night. Like I said, I will be streaming it. Both teams are 5-8, so I do see a strong fight here on both sides. Getting into the spread, it's going to be by 3, right? The game's by 3. Raiders are favored at home. The over-under is going to be 34.5. 34.5 is your over-under. For the Chargers, money line is plus 125, and then minus 145 for the Raiders. Now, on the matchup predictor, it's going to be the Chargers 57.1% versus 42.6% for your Raiders. As far as the injury report, you have Donald Parham Jr. as questionable, Gerald Everett questionable, Keenan Allen questionable. Obviously, Herbert's out. Amen Ogbongbemiga is going to be questionable as well. And then for the Raiders, you have Kanai Mwaga is on IR, Josh Jacobs questionable, Colton Miller, Max Crosby, and Amik Robertson. So, yeah, I do feel like, this is probably going to be a really, really weird, potentially low-scoring game on a Thursday night We always have these situations where, it just seems like we know what's going to happen, but we get surprised. That's what's been going on for the last few Thursdays and few Mondays. So with this one, I'm probably going to go ahead and go against the grain here. I do think that the Chargers may just come out and win this thing. I'm going to take them by 7 against the Raiders. Take them by 7 against the Raiders. So there you go. Now on Saturday, we've got 3 games. Saturday, we'll have 3 games. We're going to start off with the Vikings and then the Bengals, the Steelers, and then the Colts, and then Denver, the Broncos, and then Broncos against the Lions. I will be streaming the Broncos and Lions game. I will be doing that one on Saturday night. So let's go ahead and get into each one of these here. So we'll break down these here. The Vikings
fans, we got
and the Bengals. Now, both teams here, 7-6, same record. They're going to play on Saturday at 1 p.m. Getting into the spread here. Once again, we got another 3-point spread. Over-unders 4.5. Plus 140 for the Vikings, minus 165 for the Bengals. The matchup predictor, 43.1% for the Vikings, 56.5% for the Bengals. Obviously, we know Burrow's out. We know Cousins is out. Getting into the injury report, Justin Jefferson, he came back. Now he's back out. It's been kind of weird as far as him. Jalen's going to be questionable. Dalton's questionable. Alexander Madison's questionable. And Ed Ingram's questionable as well. As far as for the Bengals, Tyler Boyd, Joe Bacci, DJ Turner, and Jamar Chase were all questionable. So, yeah, I mean, we're dealing with this weird situation for both teams. We know that the Bengals have been kind of playing interesting ball with Joe being out. And I do feel like both sides have this weird situation to where they could end up as a wild card depending on how the season goes. But I do feel like the Bengals offense right now is just a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with them this week. I'll take them in a close one. I'm going to go Bengals by 3. All right. Next after that's going to be the Steelers and the Colts. And once again, same records. This is so crazy. Saturday's going to be really, really wild. So yeah, Steelers, Colts, both 7-6. This game's going to be at 4:30. Getting into the spread, it's a 2.5 game. Spread is 2.5. 42 is the over under. Plus 110 for the Steelers, minus 130 for the Colts. Which this is kind of weird, right? The spread's 2.5. It seems like they're expecting a high scoring game at 42.5. It's kind of weird, but I do see this probably be more of a defensive battle. 55.8% for your Steelers, 43.8% for the Colts. Getting into the injury report, TJ Watt is questionable, Alex Highsmith, Najee Harris, Landon Roberts, Isaac Sumalu. These are all questionable. Taylor, doubtful. Jalen Jones, questionable. Jelani Woods on IR, and Brandon Smith is questionable as well. So, yeah, this is, I feel like, another game where we're probably going to have a situation where it's going to be a dogfight, right? Both sides 7-6, both sides basically fighting for, that wild card spot. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go Indy on this one because I do feel like Minshew, that offense are doing great. The defense is probably going to step up. So, yeah, I'm going to go the Colts here. I'll take them in a close one. The spread is 2.5. I do feel like this may be coming down to a field goal victory for the Colts. All right, so next up is going to be the Broncos and the Lions. Now, this is going to be a great one. Like I said, I will be streaming this one. I feel like this will probably be the game of the day. That is for sure. You've got the Broncos 7-6. You've got the Lions 9-4. I had the Lions being Super Bowl contenders coming into this season, and unfortunately, they have been letting me down. But they're at home, and if there's any team that you want to get that spark back, and if there's any team that you need to beat to show that you're still a dog in this fight in the NFC, it's going to be the Broncos. Now, on the flip side, you're the Broncos. You're 7-6. You've turned things around. You've got Sean Payton leading the helm. You want to make sure that you go into Detroit with your head on your shoulders and the proper game plan. You're not out there making mistakes. You're not out there throwing picks. You're not taking sacks. You're moving the ball properly. You're utilizing that run game, and you're busting through that door of this Lions defense. With that said, getting into the odds, you've got the Lions favored by 4 at home. The over-under is 47.5. Plus 170 on the money line for the Broncos. Lions minus 200. As far as your matchup predictor, 40.4% for the Broncos, 59.3% for the Lions. Getting into the injury report, you've got Jonathan Cooper questionable, PJ Locke, and Nick Benito. And then for the Lions, you've got CJ Gardner-Johnson on IR, Benito Jones questionable, Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, and then James Houston on IR. This is going to be a tough fought battle on both sides. I do feel like we're going to see the Broncos come out on the win with this one for a couple of reasons. I feel like the Lions' chemistry is just off right now. I feel like they're not playing at that same elite level that they were, and they kind of get into these spots where they've been giving up way too many points, even if they put up points. I'm going to go ahead and take Denver by a surprising 14 because I feel like they come out with a stronger game and give these Lions a run for their money. So there you go. That's going to be Saturday games wrapped up. Now we'll get into the Sunday games, ladies and gentlemen. Sunday games, we're going to have the Bears and the Browns. Obviously, we understand the situation as far as Flacco. He went back to the practice squad. I think he's going to come back. After I think they've got to figure out some contract situations or contract issues as far as for Flacco. But I'm just going to say this. I really, really like Flacco. I like what he's done. He came back into this league and said, hey, look what I can do after my prime, and has been balling. Right now, you got the Bears 5-8. You got the Browns 8-5. Everyone should know right now that the Browns have a very, very strong defense. And if you're not paying attention to it, you haven't been watching football. The offense is right now, I think, the biggest thing. If you don't figure out the quarterback situation, that's where the Browns will fail. But I do think they'll go ahead and probably stick with Flacco, considering what he's been doing. He's got some great chemistry out there. And on the flip side, right, you got the Bears. The Bears have been doing some interesting stuff as well, right? Coming through with these weird wins. And, Fields out there, he's coming into his own. We know that he's talented. We know that he can run. But I do feel like, he's kind of found his lane. And there's been talks about him being traded and things like that, unfortunately. And it kind of sucks because I expected Fields to be the face of the franchise over there for the Bears. But for right now, we're seeing, I think, him really step into that role as far as being a quarterback and a franchise leader. We'll obviously have to see how things move forward. With that said, getting into the spread, you got the Browns favored by 3 at home. Over under is 37.5. Plus 150 for the Bears, minus 175 for the Browns. 42.2% for the Browns, or for the Bears, I apologize. 57.4% for your Browns. Getting into the injury report, you've got Jaquan Brisker questionable, Dylan Cole questionable, DJ Moore. Yannick is out. Equinemius St. Brown is questionable. Get into the Browns. Grant Delpit is on IR. Agbo Aquaco is doubtful. Kareem Hunt's questionable. DeJuan Jones is on IR. And Maurice Hurst is on IR as well. I do think this is going to be a battle as well here for these Bears and these Browns. I'm going to take the Bears in this one, and I'll tell you why. I feel like there's just too many issues as far as, the quarterback right now with the Browns, and for some reason, the Bears have been finding a way to win and beat teams that have been solid. So right now, Immortal, I'm going to give your Bears a shot to prove me wrong, because I do feel like on paper right now, the Bears do have a solid chance against these Browns, and it's going to be a hell of a dogfight. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Bears by a touchdown in this one. Quick shout out to Drowning in Music by subscribing. Thanks a lot. Welcome to the channel as we keep it going. All right. Next after that, it's going to be the Buccaneers and the Packers. Now, we seen Jordan Love get beat by the Giants. I had the Giants. I felt like the Giants were just going to go out there and ball out. And Saquon Barkley had a hell of a game. Now, that's not to discredit Jordan Love, right? He's been balling too. He's been doing some great things. And the Green Bay Packers have been finding their chemistry, finding their lane. And I like it. Right now, you've got the Buccaneers 6-7. You've got Green Bay 6-7 as well. Like I said, we're getting down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen. Some of these games are getting crazy. Some of these games are going to be very, very interesting come this week. You've got the spread 3.5. Packers are favored at home. You've got the over/under 41.5, plus 150 on the money line for the Buccaneers, minus 175 for the Packers. On the matchup predictor is 43.3% for your Buccaneers, 56.4% for the Packers. Baker Mayfield, 274 of 438, 2,934 yards, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Jordan Love on the flip side, 275 of 447, 3,084 yards, 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I mean, right now when I look at that, I'm basically looking at the same quarterback essentially. And then on the rushing side, you got White with 745 yards, 5 touchdowns. Dillon with 574 yards, 1 touchdown. Evans with 1,020 yards, 10 touchdowns. And then Reed with 540 yards, 5 touchdowns. Getting into the injury report, Devin White's questionable, Vita Vea, Jamal Dean, Carlton Davis, and then William Golston. Does Vita Vea ever play? Like ever? As far as the Packers go, Quay Walker, Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, and Jair Alexander and Tavion Wicks will be questionable. Now, as far as for this game, once again, we're going to see a lot of dogfights come Sunday. Things are getting down to the wire. A lot of these games have playoff implications, and you're going to see people step up. You're definitely going to see people step up. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and take Green Bay at home. I don't see Baker Mayfield and company really doing too much in this game as far as, putting up a true fight. Unless that defense finds a way to stop the run from the Packers and Jordan Love on the slant, those short passing plays where they pick up a great amount of yardage. I can definitely see the Packers winning this at home and taking this one by a touchdown. So I'll take the Packers by 7. All right, next up after that, it's going to be the Texans and the Titans, the two teams that start with T, and I like it. I'll tell you why I like it, right? You've got Mr. Will Levis, who I call Josh Allen Jr., out there trying to run through people and making mistakes and then coming back and winning games. I like what I see out of Will Levis. I like the Titans. It's been great to see them because they've been one of the most, slept on and just teams that people really don't pay attention to because of, what's going on over there. They're 5-8, Texans 7-6. As far as the spread goes, you've got Titans by 3 at home, 37.5 is the over under, plus 120 for the Texans on the money line, minus 140 for the Titans on the money line. Getting into the matchup predictor, 56.8% for your Texans, 42.9% for the Titans. Getting into the injury report, you've got Kiami on IR, Nico questionable, Dalton questionable, CJ Stroud questionable as well. Tavier Thomas is doubtful. And then on the Titans, you've got Kyle Pecco, Christian Fulton, Josh Wild, Jeffrey Simmons, and then Sean Murphy Bunting. Now, as far as this one, with CJ potentially being out, the thing about this is I feel like, once again, everyone who expects to see this, specific game or this specific team win, it hasn't been happening, right? We thought that Miami was going to come out there and just completely blow out the Titans. They were favored by 14. What happened? First quarter starts, Miami players start dropping like flies. The whole chemistry of the team changes. Obviously, it's a dogfight. Titans end up winning by 1. I feel like this may happen the same way, not as far as the injury part, but I do feel like this is going to be a dogfight for both teams. I'm going to go ahead and take the Titans in another close one. I think they'll just find a way to win and make this a 3-point game. So I'll go ahead and take them by a field goal. Titans against the Texans, ladies and gentlemen. All right, after that's going to be the Jets in Miami, divisional rival game. Now, we all know as far as what happened with the Miami Dolphins and the Titans, and it was really heartbreaking to see because, like I said, I definitely expected more out of Tua. I definitely expected more out of Waddle. I definitely expected more out of A-Chain. Now, listen, you can say that, Tyreek Hill is the man and Tyreek Hill is basically, the most utilized tool over there. But guess what? You've got other talent on that field, Tua, that you can use. You don't always have to use Hill. And we talk about this all the time. When you have a situation to where you keep running to the well, that well will eventually run dry. You have to move that ball. You have to understand that you can't just rely on one piece on the chessboard. You got to know how to use that rook. You got to know how to use that bishop. You got to know how to move around if your queen is taken off that board. And unfortunately, Miami does not look like they can get it done without Tyreek Hill for some reason. Right now, you got the Jets at 5-8 coming into the spread. Miami's favored by 8.5. The over/under is 37.5. Minus 450 on the money line for the Dolphins. Plus 360 on the money line for the Jets. As far as the matchup predictor, 19.5% for the Jets, 80.3% for Miami. I feel like this matchup predictor is very disrespectful, considering looking at what the Jets just did in regards to their victory and how Miami just lost. I feel like this game is going to be way closer than what this shows, and I'm going to go ahead and give Miami the benefit of the doubt, saying that you should win this game by more than a touchdown. But that's all I'm giving you. I'm giving you 7 points, Miami. That's it. That's it. Shouldn't even be saying that, but I'm giving you 7. After that, you've got Kansas City versus the Patriots, ladies and gentlemen. Kansas City versus the Patriots, and guess what? This is another one. This is another one that I really feel like could go either way. And I'm going to tell you why. The big thing that everyone's not paying attention to is Mr. Bill Belichick, right? Everyone, Andy Reid this, Patrick Mahomes that, Travis Kelce this, Taylor Swift that. The Swifties have the spirit that will get these Kansas City Chiefs to the win. You could believe all of that. But guess what? You still got Bill Belichick on the other side of that field coaching this team. And they're coming off of a victory. And Bill Belichick's got something to prove right now, because he's like, listen, if I'm leaving, I want to make sure that I go out with a bang. I feel like he's going to go ahead and game plan in this game and make it very, very difficult for Kansas City to move that ball. We understand that Patriots have a decent run defense, but they lack in the passing game. We may see them step up, make the adjustments that they need to in regards to Kelce, because we know that if you take away Kelce, you force Patrick Mahomes to have to throw to Tony. And when you throw to Tony, you don't know if he's going to catch it or not. So, yeah, that makes Patrick Mahomes question where he needs to put that ball. And I said this before, and I've said it again, and you guys know that when I say it, it particularly happens. When you have Patrick Mahomes in a situation to where he throws a pick or he fumbles the ball, he gets rattled. He starts making weird decisions. He loses focus. He stops understanding that he needs to keep his vision out there on the field, and he starts looking down a little bit more. If the Patriots can cause that kind of situation for Patrick Mahomes, they keep it a close game, we may see Patriots winning this thing. Now, on the flip side, if Kansas City can come out there and utilize Travis Kelce like they always do, if they get Clyde Edwards-Helaire back to where he needs to be to get in that running game going, and if you can figure out Sky Moore in the mix, then hey, I do think that Tony will be behind that line for you now, right? He's going to pay attention to where he is. He'll probably catch some things for you and make some good plays. And then Kansas City may very well win this game, but it's not going to be easy. I will go ahead and give Kansas City the benefit of the doubt. I think they're going to make it a close one. I'll take Kansas City by 3. Kansas City by 3. Spread is +9, -9 for the +9 for the Patriots, -9 for the Chiefs. Are favored by 9 points. Plus 380 on the money line for the Patriots, -500 on the money line for the Chiefs. Matchup predictor is 76.1 and 23.7. So there you go. All right, so yeah, Kansas City by 3. Getting into next is going to be the Giants and the Saints. Ladies and gentlemen, Giants and the Saints.
Brian,
Getting into this one, right? This could be, a nice little battle. I like Tommy DeVito. The sauce boy, the sauce. You got to stir the sauce so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pot. The Giants and the Saints, ladies and gentlemen. 5-8 for the Giants, 6-7 for the Saints. Getting into the spread, Saints are favored by 6 at home. 37.5 is going to be the over-under. Plus 220 for the Giants, minus 270 for the Saints. As far as the matchup predictor, it says that the Giants 20.5% against these Saints at 79.4. I feel like this is definitely going to be a great game as well. Probably another battle, right? Coming down to the wire, just like the Giants and the Packers game. I'm gonna go ahead and call the Saints at home, though I do think they play well at home. That defense is gonna step up. Definitely give the offense a run for that money. But if Saquon could get it going, it could go either way. But I do feel like Saints will take this one at home. I'll take them by a touchdown, and there you go. So there it is. Next after that's gonna be the Panthers and the Falcons. Falcons and the Panthers. So, yeah, you got a spread of 3. 35.5 is the over-under. Plus 140 for the Panthers, minus 165 for the Falcons. As far as your matchup predictor, 66.5% for the Falcons, 33.2% for the Panthers. Unfortunately, until we see some kind of change with the Panthers organization, I think at coach, or at coaching and offensive coordinator, I don't think that we're going to see much out of these Panthers. They're 1-12. Falcons are 6-7. I do think they're just going to go ahead and steamroll these Panthers in their own home for sure. So right off the bat, I'm just going to take them by 14. So there you go. Falcons by 14 against those Panthers. After that, it's going to be the Commanders and the Rams. I do think this will be a great game, right? Commanders have this thing where, they play really, really strong. 2 strong teams, and then you kind of see them, play softer to, down teams. And I think this is going to be right in the middle. They're 4-9. Rams are 6-7. As far as the spread, you've got the Rams favored by 6.5. 49.5 is going to be your over-under, so they're expecting a high-scoring game. Plus 240 on the money line for the Commanders, minus 290 on the money line for the Rams. Getting into the matchup predictor, 24.5% for the Commanders, 75.3% for the Rams. And, I'll take the Rams at home. I do think the Commanders will put up a fight, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams at home. I like what I've seen out of Matt Stafford, putting up a true fight against, those Ravens. And, so I'll take the Rams at home by a touchdown. After that, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be the 49ers and the Cardinals. 49ers and the Cardinals. I mean, this. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? You want me to tell you that the Cardinals stand a chance? I don't think so. Right? It's very, very simple. We've got 13.5 here as far as the spread goes. 47.5 the over/under. Plus 600 on the money line for the Cardinals. Minus 900 on the money line for the 49ers. Matchup predictors 85.1% for the 49ers, 14.8% for your Cardinals. This is as easy as you can get, right? We know it's the Niners. So we'll go in and take them by the spread, 14 at least, against the Cardinals. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got the last 3. The last 3. These will also be the last 3 games I'll be streaming in Week 15. Cowboys, the Bills, right? Cowboys and Bills. Then the Ravens and the Jags. And then you have the Eagles and the Seahawks. The Birds against the Birds. So let's go ahead and get into these Bills and these Cowboys. Cowboys and these Bills. Quick shout out to, I'm going to try to do this, Jurgen Van Stennis for subscribing. Thanks a lot. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for subscribing. Here we go. Cowboys and these Bills. Cowboys 10-3. My Bills Mafia 7-6. Spread is Bills by 2. Over under is 50.5. The money line is even for the Cowboys, and the Bills is -120. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get any more crazy than that. It does not. 50.3% for the Cowboys, 49.3% for the Bills on the matchup predictor. It does not get, the margin is razor thin. It does not get any thinner than this as far as for margins. And that lets you know that this game can go either way. You guys know I'm very unbiased when it comes to the predictions. I'm always going to go for my team, but we're going to have to break this thing down and really, really mine it out, right? Obviously, let's get into Dak Prescott and Josh Allen. 312 of 450, 3,505 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Josh Allen, 318 of 475, 3,447 yards, 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. On the rushing side, you got Pollard with 796 yards, 5 touchdowns. You got Cook on the other side, 789 yards, 1 touchdown. And then on the receiving side, you got Lamb, 1,253 yards, 8 touchdowns. Diggs with 993 yards and 8 touchdowns. Talk about efficiency. Getting into the injury report, Jonathan Hankins will be questionable for the Cowboys. As far as for the Bills, Dalton Kincaid's questionable, Micah Hyde's questionable, AJ Epenesa's questionable, Justin Schroeder's going to be IR, and Taron Johnson will be questionable as well. Now, getting into the last 5 for the Cowboys. 33-13 win against the Eagles, 41-35 win against the Seahawks, 45-10 win against the Commanders, 33-10 win against the Panthers, and then 49-17 win against the Giants. Then getting into the Bills, 20-17 win against Kansas City, 37-34 loss to Eagles in OT, 32-6 win against the Jets, 24-22 loss against the Broncos, and a 24-18 loss against the Bengals. Ladies and gentlemen, this game is going to be absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. The big differentiating factor is, I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to boil down to the quarterbacks. We understand that the Cowboys defense is very strong, but you have an elite quarterback in Josh Allen who's playing mistake-free football for the most part right now. On the flip side, you've got Dak Prescott. He's going to Buffalo. He's going to be playing in the cold. He ain't used to that. Bills defense steps up in these kind of specific games, and they're going to bring the pressure. And if Dak Prescott can't adjust to that pressure that the Bills defense will bring, he is going to throw a pick. And that is what we know about Dak Prescott as well. And I'm not sitting here saying that Josh Allen is probably not going to throw a pick. He's probably going to throw a pick or two as well. But guess what? This is why the game is so even, because both these quarterbacks will be throwing picks. We know it. We understand it. There's going to be some mistakes on the field, and that's why both quarterbacks are going to have to try their best to play mistake-free football. We may see a more conservative approach on both sides. We're going to see some running out of Cook. We're going to see some running out of Pollard. You may see Gabe Davis come out in this game because everyone's been hating on him and talking crazy about him and where he's going to be and how he's not going to be on the team next year and all that other garbage. You're probably going to see Gabe Davis step up in this game because he's been silent. He's been the silent assassin. You're also probably going to see Stephon Diggs step up because this is the team he's playing against, the team that his brother plays for. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see both Diggs play at the same time, but there will be one Diggs on the field, and that's Stephon for the Bills. So, obviously, I'm going for my Bills. I'm rooting for my Bills. But the reality is this. I do think that it's going to come down to the wire. And my biggest problem is whether or not Sean McDermott is going to be able to out-coach McCarthy when it matters the most. We talk about what Bills did to Kansas City and made it a close game. The problem with this one is you're going to need a shootout. You're going to need mistake-free football. And I'm not sure if Sean McDermott is going to be able to out-coach McCarthy and deal with this defense as far as the issues that we have going into this game. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm rooting for my Bills 100%. I want us to get the win. But my analyst mind My betting mind and my realist mind is telling me Cowboys by 3. It's telling me Cowboys by 3. Some weird, crazy game, high-scoring game, and they manage a way to get down the field in the end and score a field goal and win. I never want anyone to tell me that I'm a biased person, ever. Ever. Because I'll tell you this right now. That was probably the hardest thing that I've had to say all year. Because I had to be real with myself about my team and where we stand. Do I want the win? Hell yes, I want the win. But the reality is this. If Sean McDermott cannot figure out this defense and coach this game when he needs to when we get to the fourth quarter, we're probably going to lose. And that's just the reality of it. Moving on. Next after that's going to be Sunday Night Football. The Ravens and the Jags, ladies and gentlemen. Raves and the Jags. I'm excited to see this game. I'm excited to call it as well. Ravens and Jags. Obviously, Ravens are favored by 3. Over-under is going to be 42.5. Minus 165 on the money line. Plus 140 on the money line for the Jags. Getting into the matchup predictor, 63.8% for the Ravens. 35.9% for the Jaguars. Now, listen. This, I do think, is going to be one of these games where we obviously think the Ravens are just going to steamroll the Jags because they haven't been playing at their true potential. But the reality is this. With what I've seen from Matt Stafford and that Rams team, they're not any better than the Jags. And they put up a true fight. And in fact, I like the Jacksonville Jaguars defense a little bit better than the Rams. So I do think we see another dogfight here. And this one very well could come down to the wire. They're going to put the Ravens under some stress. I do feel like, obviously, if the Ravens can, play mistake-free football, and Lamar not throw any picks, which is what he didn't do in the last game. He threw a pick. If he can play mistake-free football, not throw a pick, they do win this one convincingly. But it's probably going to be a close game, and I will go ahead and take the Ravens by 7 in this one again. But they got to play some good football. And I'm going to take the Ravens by 7 Sunday night. Next after that, last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be the Eagles and the Seahawks Monday night. Ladies and gentlemen, Monday Night Football.
With Patrick Mahomes,
I'm just going to let this roll so I can get some water.
Were flexed out of Monday Night Football. It takes a lot to do that. And instead, the league will take off the Chiefs and Patriots game and put on the Eagles at the Seahawks. And that means that the Eagles will be in 3 straight standalone games at Dallas on Sunday Night Football, then at Seattle on Monday Night Football, and then a Christmas Day game against the New York Giants. I don't think the Eagles are going to be particularly pleased about that, but that's the price that happens with Monday Night Flex now being a part of the NFL scheduling format.
All right, so there you go. Getting into these Eagles and the Seahawks. This is the last game of Week 15. You've got the Eagles favored by 4. Your over-under is 47.5. Minus 195 for the Eagles, plus 165 for the Seahawks. Getting into the matchup predictor, 57.6% for the Eagles, 42.0% for the Seahawks. Getting into the injury report, you've got Reed Blankenship questionable for the Seahawks. Geno Smith's questionable. D. Eskridge questionable. Trey Brown, Frank Clark, and Devin Witherspoon. Now, here's the thing about this game. I said at some point that the Eagles would lose 3 in a row. Well, right now they're at 2. You have the issue as far as at quarterback in regards to what they're going to do. Pete Carroll's got to figure out some things as far as his team. The defense, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to hold Hurts and company like the Cowboys and the 49ers has. But on the flip side of that, we have seen the Seahawks step up and play some surprising football, make these games very close, and potentially come out with the win. Has the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and this company really found their heart back, really found their chemistry and have it back? Exactly. G550, they don't have an identity right now. We don't know what's going on with these Eagles. And guess what? If they lose this game, right? If the Eagles lose this game, they're really out of conversation in regards to going to the Super Bowl for me. So I do think that they bounce back in this game. I do think that it's going to be a close one. But this is where you see Jalen Hurts comes back, right? You're going to see more running from Swift. I feel like they're going to try to get some things together. Nick Sirianni is going to game plan properly. And I do think they come back and take this one. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say Eagles by 7. But don't sleep on Pete Carroll. They're 6-7 right now. Pete Carroll's in this weird spot to where if they potentially win these next 4, they could make a wild card appearance. And yeah, it could get very interesting Monday night. We will be streaming this game. I'm going to go ahead and take Eagles by 7. Make sure you guys lock in and subscribe. Don't forget, tomorrow I will be streaming as well. So yeah, there is your week 15 predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting. Very interesting. Shout out to Brian, says I thought pecan or pecan was the hardest thing to say. Shout out to you, man. Much love. Yeah, no, you know, the realist in me is saying Cowboys, but the fan in me is obviously rooting for my Bills. And the reality is this: if we're gonna win this game, the Bills are gonna have to play at such a level to where, you know, they go out there and dominate. I hear people always say something, well, Jay, a win's a win. And I get that. I totally get it. I understand that, right? We've been streaming these games. We've been having great conversations. We've been having fun. We've, you know, been on an emotional roller coaster for a certain few of you. At the end of the day, a win isn't just a win. These games mean something to certain people, right? When you're yelling on, you know, your couch, when you're jumping up and down, when you're excited, it becomes more than just a win. So a win is not just a win. The reality is this: the Bills as an organization are in shambles. Yes, they had the win against Kansas City, but that does not discredit all the issues and the things that need to be fixed. So when we talk about the Cowboys coming into Buffalo and what Josh Allen and this team can do, we're not talking about the talent of Josh Allen anymore. We're not talking about the offense because we know that they can move the ball. It's going to come down to defense. It's going to come down to coaching, and whether or not the Bills can perform at the level that the Cowboys are right now. Because make no mistake, the NFC is in a lock right now between the Cowboys and the 49ers. One of those teams are potentially going to the Super Bowl. That's just the reality of it. Who in the AFC really can put up a fight against the Cowboys and the 49ers? Well, on Sunday, we're going to see if the Bills have it in them. And that's just the reality of it. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. G550 says must win for Seattle. Eagles still make the playoffs. It's a must win for Seattle, for sure. But we'll see. We'll see. Rebecca says, OMG, I fainted when Jay picked the Cowboys. That's the unbiased me. I got to look at it from all angles. I got to be a realist about it. When I take away the fan in me, you look at what's really going on and what needs to happen. There's a lot of wheels in motion in regards to what needs to happen for the Bills to win that game. And in fact, if I go back and look at this week 15, there are three games that are very important. I mean, they're all important technically, but there's 3 games that are very, very important. 4. I'll go 4. Broncos, Lions, very important. Bears, Browns, very important. Jets, Dolphins, without a doubt. Yeah. Dallas, Bills, Ravens, Jags. Yeah, I mean, this whole week is just This whole week is ridiculous. The whole week is going to be literally high blood pressure. Week 15 is going to be high blood pressure for everybody. If you're a fan of any one of these teams that are playing, it's going to be high blood pressure for you. So just get ready. Get yourself some medication if you need it, because we're in for one hell of a ride. We're in for one hell of a ride. That is for sure. Shout out to G550. Says Jay keeps it real. I respect that call. Bills had to protect the house. They have to, man. They have to. CIA says so many easy picks this week. No. This week is not easy at all. In fact, I know that some of my picks are going to go completely the opposite way, but based off of what I needed to look into as far as the stats, looking at what's been going on week by week, things are going to get very, very weird heading into week 15. I promise you. Saturday, we're going to see some surprises. Sunday, we're definitely going to see some surprises. And we're all going to be sitting here like, wow, I didn't expect that. So to say that something's easy, well, hey, go ahead and bet against me. And then we'll see who, has the last laugh after that. And then when it's like sliced down right in the middle, we'll both be laughing at each other because we're both wrong. That's how this week's going to go. So there you go. Rebecca says, I'm afraid you're all right, Jay. That's what's scary. You guys know I'm normally not too far off. I have a great winning percentage this year as far as for predictions. You can just go back and look at it yourself for each week. And right now we're getting into where it's down to the wire. It's down to the wire. You've got to make sense as far as, the changes as far as within the teams. You got to make sense as far as whether or not this team's going to have the heart that they need to go out there and ball. You got to look at the injuries. You got to look at, what playoff situation is where. And, who needs to do what to get where and how much they're going to fight for it. Then you got to look at some of these other teams who are like, you know what? I'm not going anywhere, so I'm going to make sure that you don't go anywhere either. You're going to see a lot of that on Sunday. And primarily, that's why I keep talking about this Kansas City Chiefs and Patriots game, because everyone just thinks, oh, the Chiefs are pissed off. They're going to bounce back. Okay, you go into New England with that thought process, thinking that Kansas City's just going to win, and then you have a situation where they're getting blowed out and everyone's freaking out in Kansas City because of what they're seeing on the scoreboard. It could happen that way because you don't know. Any given Sunday, as they say. So there you go. Adam says, Jay, just imagine any of these games ending in a tie to mess up everything. Yeah, it could. It could happen. Like the Giants and the Saints, that could be one. Buccaneers, Packers, that could be one. Yeah, there's a few on there. Commanders, Rams, that could end up in a tie for sure, without a doubt. Shout out to Brian to start explaining to the children the playoffs are coming. Without a doubt. Omar says you've been calling it all season that the Eagles and the Chiefs are not as strong as they've been. I've been saying it. Do you know how much hate, Omar, I got for saying that the Eagles were going to run into a brick wall? I got so much hate from Eagles fans. Literally, I gave the Eagles up to week 6, or it was week 5. Whichever week it was when they played Miami, I was like, the tide is going to turn here. Miami's probably going to beat them. And then obviously they beat Miami, and then they kept going. Right, they beat the Bills, so I had to deal with all the talking and all the craziness. And I said, listen, they're going to run into a brick wall where they lose 3 in a row. Well, here we are, right? Eagles they lost 2 in a row. They got the Seahawks coming up. I'm obviously trying to give them the win here because I do think they'll pull it off. But they very well could lose 3 in a row, and then we're having a whole different conversation. And then as far as the Chiefs, they're not playing as the Super Bowl Chiefs anymore. They're playing as the vulnerable Chiefs. And when you have a situation to where Patrick Mahomes rips off his helmet, smashes it on the ground, Andy Reid hops on a podium in a press conference and basically says that, hey, refs give me warnings and let me know before a penalty is going to happen, and nobody else has ever heard that before, you start to see the cracks in the wall with this specific team moving forward. Because we haven't seen this team show that much emotion. And it's very interesting to see it because we haven't seen a weak and emotional Chiefs, and that's what we've seen this past week. Now, that's not discrediting them from being Super Bowl champions. That's not discrediting the team from being talented and having talent on it. But when things start to change, we pay attention. You can talk about Tom Brady. You can go back to that era when Tom Brady obviously was a Super Bowl champion. And then he had his situations when he had his meltdown, and we seen that he was human because the team just couldn't get it together. And then obviously they bounced back, right? We understand that this thing happens. But the reality is, if the Chiefs don't get it together and become that dynasty that we know that they could be, then there's no comparing them to the Patriots. There's no comparing Patrick Mahomes to Tom Brady. And I'll just leave it at that. Shout out to you guys. Quick shout out to the family. Much love to all the listeners and watchers. Shout out to the Wrench Gang. That is week 15, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you all tomorrow for Thursday Night Football. Make sure you lock in and subscribe. It's your boy Jay. Peace out.
My mind, now my mind is blown. No surprise, guess I should have known. My mind, now my mind is blown. No surprise, guess I should have known. You got control of me, break my barricades. Walls are crumbling, grounds they shake. You came to save, but it's way too late. Every single time you say I cave.